Good evening, Internet, and welcome to a special Halloween episode of Kent at Your Own Risk, episode number 70, where Kent, Kevin, and Chris are going to be discussing each of our top 5 picks for PG horror movies, giving back a little bit to the world and letting parents find ways to scar their children for life going forward. I've had a pretty good week. We were going to do this last week, but I ended up feeling a little sick. The good boys gave me a break, and I'm feeling much better this weekend. I had a great birthday, and how are you guys doing?
I am doing pretty good. I didn't mind holding off another week because I had a celebration of life of someone I met when I moved to New Hampshire last weekend and the week before my sister got married, and it's just been super crazy. And, you know, doing these PG-13 movies have been actually, like, a lot of fun, and going back to, like, you know, movies I watched, in some cases, you know, around, like, 10, 11 years old or even younger, so.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope your sister had a good wedding.
She did. It was great.
And me, I found some stuff that I didn't remember liking, and I found some stuff that I remember liking that I was not nearly as fond of this time around. So, it's been a mixed bag, but all in all, it's been October, so, you know, having fun with it, basically. Plus, I got Shudder again, so I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Damn it, man. I wish you'd let me know. There's a bunch of stuff that's been coming out, and I've been like, oh, man, I gotta wait till it comes out, like, general release kind of shit.
Oh, well, I'm gonna keep it for at least a few months, so, yeah, go for it.
Alrighty.
Also, did you guys know that there's a new Cruel Intentions coming out?
I just saw that, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel, because didn't they come out with, like, a newish one a couple years ago, too?
Oh, maybe. I don't even know. I didn't feel good about this. I'm like, are you trying to is it a reboot, or is it a new story? Do you know?
I'm assuming it's probably both. You know, like, the same basic framework, but they're going to change it just enough to make it slightly different.
I don't...
Was it based on something originally? Was it like...
Yeah, that was based on...
like a French book?
No, it was based on, Dangerous Liaisons. When they made it into the movie, it was John Malkovich and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Wow. That's interesting. Either way, I don't even know if I'll go out of my way to watch this, because Cruel Intentions to me was oddly like a perfect storm. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie by any means, but it was like a perfect storm of a movie that I'm just going to hold in my nostalgia vault. That's all.
It is of like a time and a place. And like,
Yeah.
what's the song
Bittersweet Symphony, man.
Yeah, it's total time and a place of, and it is a perfect movie, and you know, rightfully so. Not mine, but a lot of people's like favorite movie.
Yeah, I mean, they had like the two perfect like actresses in the main roles. Plus, what was it? Selma Blair was the third girl. Like, all of them were great for their roles. So I don't know. I think that's a tough movie to like try to reboot or redo. Just my thoughts, but I don't even know how I got onto this. Oh yeah, IMDb. That's how. So I'll shut up now.
We gotta like filth it up before we get all into the kids' films. You know,
Absolutely.
This is entertainment for the kids.
Yeah.
We should next year maybe try to do a PG, maybe PG-13 version of our podcast one night and see how hard it is to actually, you know, record it.
Fuck that shit.
Oh God.
There we go.
That would take me back to doing like the TV show and not being able to swear on air. That used to be so difficult. Like,
yeah, it like, just because you can't be like natural, or you feel like you can't be funny or yourself, because you swear all the time. So like when you're on the TV show, and then you could see yourself on the screen and those terrible lights and
and like. You know,
I feel that I was brought right back, like Conti behind the thing, being like, Kevin.
Yes, it's like,
are these people doing drugs in this video that you want me to play?
Oh, I still remember him saying, "All right, Kent, after last week, you can no longer use the word ass on air." Okay, that was that. So.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, the kids doing it,
right to the kids, doing the kids,
doing it for the kids, not doing the kids, just doing it for the kids.
Diddy's not listening to this one.
Oh shit! This is like this Cruel Intentions is actually like a series. It's not even a movie. It's an 8-episode thing. I'm just looking at it now, so not even a movie. I'm not interested at all. So
that's a lot of Bittersweet Symphony if they play that song.
God, I hope it's redone by some artist that sucks total ass. Even though I can't say ass anymore.
Well, you can now because you got your own show.
Choke on that. Yeah.
Mike Conti, and no, I like Mike. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Love him, Mike. Sorry about all those things that I had to play on the show.
Shit. All right, let's do our list.
Let's start. Happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween. Are you going to do an intro? You want me to bang it out?
Bang this son of a bitch.
All right. Bang this out.
Bang this like it's Russell's mom. Come on.
Well, at least we got some parental guidance.
Trick or treat, take your mask off.
Well, all right. So, PG films, my number 5 is The Munsters, 2022, written and directed by Rob Zombie. It's when Herman met Lily, the origin story for the 1960s TV sitcom of The Munsters. It has bad jokes, punk rock, great set pieces, cool makeup, and cool creature designs, too. It is very, like, spooky Halloween with, like, the regular Rob Zombie cast for the most part. And, yeah, it's spooky, it's romantic, it's almost an anti-comedy for adults and, like, a comedy for younger viewers simultaneously. This, I think, is, like, a good entry level for, like, young Universal Monsters for younger kids, and I mean, like, younger, like, 8 or maybe even 5 with some of the humor in this, though I do really like the bad jokes. Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of, like, horror-friendly Halloween stuff, so to watch a Rob Zombie movie with kids, this is the only one. You know, even the cartoon one, I think, would be too crazy to put on this list, and also not rated PG. So, also, I should say that I am not a huge fan of the show The Munsters, and I know that sounds like I don't like it, and I do like it and what I've seen of it, but I am not a hardcore fan of it, so you might have your own thoughts, and the ending of the movie kind of leads into the TV show, and I guess where, like, the opening credits would start. And I guess maybe I don't watch the show, so I don't know how, like, seamless it would blend into the first episode pilot of The Munsters. So I'm
imagining not that much because, like, their kids, well, they have their niece is what, like, in her late teens, and their son is what, like 9 or 10? Yeah, so I mean, it's got to have been a couple years between.
Oh, I mean, like, all of those years, yeah. I guess, because I don't think they have any kids in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, because isn't it how they meet and fall in love?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, all right.
Kevin,
well, have you seen it? I know you don't like
Kevin, I want to call Child Protective Services on you if you would ever allow a kid to watch this filth. Not because it's filthy, but just because it's one of the worst made movies I've ever seen and couldn't even finish. That.
Honestly, I feel like it's less of a punishment to have a child watch this than it is to have an adult watch this.
Probably as a kid, at least you can enjoy the bright colors, but my God.
Yeah, I could honestly see a kid enjoying it. I'll give that to Kevin. Just because, there is a part of us as a child that wants to be scared, but doesn't really want to be scared, but wants to enjoy, like, the scary stuff, like vampires and werewolves and whatnot, and, the Munsters and the Addams Family kind of play into that. It is, like Kevin suggested, a good, like, breaking off point to start your journey into horror. The problem is that this was just, like Kent said, a shitty-ass movie. So, sorry.
It's all good. Anything? Well, and also I want to say this would something I thought about this movie would be great for, because even to myself I was like trying to justify putting it on the list, and I think it would be good for maybe like a 5, 6, 7-year-old to before bringing them into a haunted house to have like some sort of familiarity with kind of like monsters and creatures, and maybe not being so scared that you won't go in.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're going to the Moose. That place was fucking scary.
Well, without Halloween.
Yeah, that too.
You're a 25-cent wing night on a Wednesday. No, I'm kidding.
I miss 25-cent wing night. Like, I think the last good deal, Applebee's had like a 50-cent wing deal in September, and I was like, wow, that's a killer deal, quite frankly. So yeah, bring back 25-cent wing night, please.
Well, before I derail this whole podcast with quarter wings, I will move on to my number 4, unless anyone has some more terrible things to add about.
Actually, I have 2 more thoughts. One, it makes me sad that Richard Brake was involved in it. And number 2, does Rob Zombie have anything else coming out, or did this completely derail his entire career?
I don't think anything will derail his career. I think it did what it was supposed to do, and Netflix doesn't really care about.
They just don't care. You just stop right numbers.
Yeah. They want to get content, and I bet this did pretty well.
Like, he doesn't on IMDb. He doesn't have any projects coming up, which I'm surprised at. So, I don't know. I was just curious if there was any rumors about him making another movie. I simply haven't heard of any.
I saw an interview with him in, I forgot what, Variety, Rolling Stone, something, last year, and he said he was working on something, but he didn't have any specifics, and it did sound like this might have derailed his career, because he had been offered, he'd been offered a couple of things to do instead of the Munsters, and the Munsters was what he chose to do. And then it bombed as badly as it did.
That makes sense. I remember he was working on a hockey movie at one point, but I don't see that listed anywhere anymore. So hopefully he gets back and actually does something noteworthy, because, God, I'm looking. It has been so long since he did a movie that I liked. 2009 to be exact. So it's been a while. All right. Now I'm done derailing Kevin's list. I actually like the rest of Kevin's list, I think. Well, PG.
All right. Well, number 4, Little Monsters, 1989, written by Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott, and directed by Richard Allen Greenberg. This movie is savage. Fred and Ben Savage, to be specific. This is definitely more of like a comedy and fantasy, but I think also another great entry level into monsters and horror and, the creatures under the bed. Howie Mandel is the monster under the bed in this part Beetlejuice, part Drop Dead Fred, a little bit of Clive Barker's Nightbreed. It feels like a G-rated Clive Barker movie, even though this is PG. You got to go to the extreme with Clive Barker, where monsters go from bed to bed to play pranks on kids while parents are asleep, and then the parents think that the kids did it. There's a lot more gross out humor in this, as far as like the pranks. Who put piss in my applesauce? Fred Savage on that one, but there is a lot of great creature design in this. It does have, and that's kind of where I think of like a G-rated Nightbreed, in their own little like outcasts. This was a lot of fun for when I was a kid. I probably wouldn't put it with like Halloween horror, but it's been a while. I actually had a fun time watching it. And for all of the Wonder Years fans, what I liked as a kid, that Kevin Arnold is in this, Fred Savage, and the guy who played old Kevin Arnold, Daniel Stern, is his dad in this movie. And that always kind of like, I just thought that was cool because this was all around the same time. Do you guys remember Little Monsters?
I actually had forgotten about this movie until we were talking about the list, and then I was like, "Oh, is that the one that he was talking about?" Yeah, I do remember that. I remember we had the screener for this back in the day.
I saw this once, like when I was younger, and in hindsight, I feel like they missed the mark on one thing. Why didn't they have Macho Man Randy Savage hiding under the bed as a monster? With his great voice, he would have been perfect for this type of thing. Because he did a few cartoons and he was great because of his voice. So, that's all. That's the only thing that they missed. Otherwise, it was a fun little movie.
Instead of Howie Mandel, you wanted Macho Man Randy Savage, or as a different character, also Macho Man? As like even like a secondary character?
Yes, like just a side character that doesn't have much screen time, just a little bit. Macho Man was just a fun dude. Like, well, actually, I don't know how fun he really was in real life, but he was fun to watch and listen to. More importantly,
it's the only way the movie would be more savage.
Yeah. Also, I wish that they had Kevin Arnold's brother, Jason Hervey, and Eric Bischoff, but then I'm making this into a wrestling movie, and that's just weird. So, I kind of want to rewatch this.
1989, it would have been the time to make a wrestling movie. So, especially
like a follow-up to No Holds Barred.
Yeah, well, this would be more for like kids. I mean, I loved No Holds Barred because I love wrestling, but yeah.
Like I can imagine that. Like Howie Mandel is such a germaphobe, having to go through that makeup every day to when he was filming the movie.
Yeah, well,
has he always been a germaphobe? Is that just always been a thing?
I don't know for certain, but I mean, as long as like I've been watching like America's Got Talent and all of that kind of shit that he's done to go along with that, the reality TV version of himself.
That's when I knew of it. Ever since America's Got Talent.
Because I mean,
prior to that, I didn't know.
I mean, doing stand up, it wouldn't have really mattered because you don't really interact physically with the crowd in stand up. But
Richard Lewis used to do it actually a lot. Richard Lewis did it in his stand up. He would have like a thing and like a rag and wipe the mic off at and a lot of his stand up would just be like 60 minutes of like neuroses and just about like washing her, like having a 10-minute bit on washing her hands and stuff. But I vaguely remember Howie Mandel doing that too, but I guess everyone would kind of pale in comparison to Richard Lewis.
That makes sense.
All right, what's your number 3, man?
All right. The Burbs, also 1989. Written by Dana Olson, directed by Joe Dante, the man. Tom Hanks leads this all-star cast, including Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, Corey Feldman, and this is like a comedy horror hybrid. It kind of reminded me of like People Under the Stairs a little bit, with the neighbors down the street and they're I guess they were incredibly wealthy also, but yeah, a new family moves into the suburbs and everyone gets really suspicious of the activity going on at this creepy looking house with things getting buried in the backyard and a neighbor going missing, and the whole neighborhood starts to like investigate this house, and it is comedy ensues. According to Amazon, this movie is appropriate for ages 7 and up, and I thought that was maybe a little bit low, but even for my standards. But rewatching it, it's not super dirty. There's a little bit, but yeah. I had to at least add one Corey Feldman list to the house, and it really didn't feel like a horror film as a kid until the end, that it really kind of like shifted, because it's almost like I would say like a stoner noir, but it's just like a dad on vacation, just like with nothing to do, and like kind of creates this narrative. At least that's how the movie feels in the very beginning, and getting all wrapped up with his neighbors. So I don't know. The Burbs. You guys must.
Is
have
it
seen
still
this.
a good watch? Because I've never seen it. Like, does it hold up, or is this something you just rewatched, or no?
Yeah, I did rewatch it. Yes, it does hold up. It's incredibly well, actually. Joe Dante. It's like that kind of like blend of comedy, horror adjacentness. Yeah,
That makes sense. Okay.
it'd be
Yeah,
a good.
it sounds like it's something I would actually enjoy.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
I actually hate this movie.
What?
I find
See?
it unfunny. I remember watching it when it came out too, and like the premise is great. The problem is, like, none of the characters are like Carrie Fisher is the only likable character in the entire movie. Carrie Fisher and Corey Feldman. All of the fucking Tom Hanks isn't funny in it. His neighbor, the main neighbor dude who hangs out with, I forgot, Rick Ducommun, he's absolutely anti-funny. There were some okay scenes, like the neighbors, the crazy ones that lead it into the horror section. They're good, but it was so disappointing being both a Joe Dante fan and then a Tom Hanks fan, and then seeing like the potential for the movie, and I just don't think it nails it. But I get that a lot of people do like it. Within the last year, I've seen 3 different like reviewers that I follow all do like retro reviews of this movie. Just for me, it does not hit at all.
Wow.
What about when you're 7 years old?
I didn't like it then either.
Man, that is crazy. You've been super critical as a kid.
Coming
huh?
off, yeah, I was actually.
Of Tom Hanks.
Well,
of all
I was
people.
I was 10 when this came out, so I couldn't have seen it when I was 7. But no, I mean, the first thing I remember watching with Tom Hanks was Splash, and then Dragnet, The Money Pit. By that point in time, I'd watched a bunch of reruns of Bosom Buddies, Mazes and Monsters. So I mean, I had seen a lot of Tom Hanks stuff, and like this, for the most part, just it didn't hit me then. It didn't hit me now. But I do like the fact that this is one of Carrie Fisher's, movies where she's not doing Princess Leia and actually getting a character.
Yeah.
I have a question. It's probably the most important question I can ask. How awesome was Dick Miller as a garbage man in this movie?
Dude, actually, I was thinking about that. Dick Miller and Robert Picardo together. They were good. They were a good part of the movie.
That's one of the best scenes, actually, where they're going through the trash. Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Dick Miller never disappoints me, I guess. So I just
or Joe Dante, right? Because he keeps calling him up.
Yeah. No, props to that connection.
All right, so moving on. Number 2, Salem's Lot, 1979. Screenplay by Paul Manish, based on the story by Stephen King, directed by Toby Hooper. This was originally a TV miniseries, but I chose this because, to me, it was just a VHS at the video store. And this was also one of my dad's favorite Stephen King adaptations. A novelist goes back to his New England hometown to discover that it's been invaded by vampires and finds himself with supporters having to cleanse Salem's Lot of an ancient vampire. This is a 2-part miniseries, so it is 3 hours long. So for younger viewers, it could be split into 2 nights, and that would only be 90 minutes or 130 TikTok videos a night for smaller attention spans.
Is that our new time measurement?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 90 TikTok videos. It really doesn't seem that long, you know. Yeah. So, and the cliffhanger itself is actually would be of the miniseries was pretty scary and would be very much nightmare fuel to younger viewers and my younger self. I don't know, maybe not anymore, but I still thought the makeup and stuff like held up pretty good, and I don't know, came back. But so this does have a PG rating according to the Blu-ray that I bought, but on other streaming platforms like Max or Amazon has like a TV-14 rating, which could be which I think this is a great Halloween horror for ancient, old, or young alike. Ignore the black lines on the side of the screen. That's just the TV 4:1 format. Just pretend it's some pretentious A24 horror film, or just A24 film. What'd you guys think of Salem's Lot?
Go ahead, Kent.
So here's where I have to disagree just slightly. I liked the movie. When I watched it just a couple of years ago, I gave it a 6.3, which we both know that's high praise from me. With that being said, as a kid, I could not get into this fucking thing. It was plotting and slow moving for me. And I know that some people, our age really liked it as a kid, but for me personally, I was bored as hell. So, like, as much as I think it's a good movie / miniseries, whatever, as a kid, it wasn't that great for me. That's my only disagreement. Otherwise, I look back now and I'm like, yeah, I really like it. Also, I really want to watch the Rob Lowe version of it, because I imagine
I have that on DVD.
Is it terrible?
No, it's good.
Really?
Yeah, it was okay. I remember it being okay, and I want to watch it now because I actually watched everything Salem's Lot.
I mean, I would...
Except for that.
I would put it in, like, if we're talking Salem's Lot original, Salem's Lot, Rob Lowe, new one that just came out, and Return to Salem's Lot, I would go original Rob Lowe, I haven't seen the new one yet, and Return to Salem's Lot is definitely the very bottom.
Return to Salem's Lot actually rules, but we'll get to that later because I watched it for the first time, and it's a Larry Cohen film, and it is absolute. So this is how I explain it. It's a bad sequel to Salem's Lot. It is a masterpiece for Larry Cohen because it is so insane. I almost think it's better than all of them, but it's also it's bad, but great production value for Larry Cohen.
But for this one, I would agree with both of you. Like, I could see it being too slow for kids, Kent. I could also see it being, because, like, this, as Kevin alluded to, I don't think this would have be a PG movie anymore. If, if it had been made now, the rating definitely wouldn't have been PG anymore. It's pretty nihilistic in that, nobody's safe. Like, 90% of the people who die in the movie are fucking kids. And even some of the heroes, people that you would normally see at least get towards the end of the movie, like the priest and whatnot, they get got relatively early. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good movie. I don't think it would be PG anymore, and I could definitely see it being slow for kids, but also at the same time having that extra, like, scary punch that, would make it so those portions would be memorable for children.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when you were a kid and you first saw Pet Sematary, even if you didn't like it, there were some scenes that stuck with you, and I feel like this, if you were a kid and saw it, there were definitely scenes that would have stuck with you.
Especially the kid.
Yes.
Hanging on that was one of the scariest things.
And Fred Willard.
That I remembered as a kid. Oh, yeah. Fred Willard is so good.
He's awesome, man.
I was very excited about Fred Willard was in it. I forget every time because it's so long and he's out of it. But, yeah, that was pretty menacing, too, when the guy with the shotgun and...
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys... How well you remember it, but... Okay,
yeah,
we good?
Yep.
All right, we're going to do number 1, PG, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978, screenplay by W.D. Richter, based on the novel by Jack Finney, directed by Philip Kaufman. This is a more classic remake than the original classic, for me anyways. San Francisco health inspector and his colleague discover that humans are being replaced with alien replicates, a perfect biological clone of the person it replaced, but devoid of empathy and humanity. Not that I would expect kids to get that. It was just kind of almost, I guess, kind of like a zombie film for me, because I saw this pretty young. But, not actually zombies. It made it even kind of scarier. This movie is one of my favorites as a kid, though it might be slower for younger viewers. I remember kind of having a little bit of a tough time with it, probably the first 30 minutes of the movie. But by the time you get to the whole last half of it, I was pretty sucked in. And I was probably 10 or 11 when I saw this. It's kind of like a new Hollywoodified version of a sci-fi monster classic. It's got really great cinematography, excellent cast, legend Donald Sutherland, and Jeff Goldblum's in it. There's actually tons of, maybe not tons, but a lot of other great actors in this, and it just tells this great paranoid tale of the end of the world, to start a new way of life, one pod person at a time. Yeah. What do you guys think? Would you guys see this when you were younger? Before 13?
I didn't see this one until I was older. I think senior in high school, college age, somewhere 18 to 20, somewhere. Also, Leonard Nimoy. Don't forget, Spock.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a great movie. And again, though, I could definitely see it being a little slower for kids, because it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't start out fast-paced. And there is a lot of scientific, I guess, jargon, for the lack of a better word. It's not as action-y as the kind of remake, the Puppet Masters version that they did, I think, in the mid-90s. But yeah, this is probably my favorite version of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers that they've done.
I still haven't seen this, and it was one of those things that I meant to get to this week and still didn't. So I have nothing to offer other than I really like Donald's hair. His hair game's on point.
You should definitely, this is a good movie any time of the year.
I kind of want to watch all versions, and I think I own most of the, was there 3 or 4 of them now? If I'm not mistaken.
At least, Abel Ferrara had one from the 90s too.
Body Snatchers,
Body Snatchers.
I have that.
And then the Puppet Masters one that Chris said was definitely more of the action.
Yeah, I think the original story was called The Puppet Masters, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The one that Invasion of the Body Snatchers is based off of, which is why they were like, oh yeah, we're redoing it, even though they just did, a different Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
I mean, and the... there's 3 or 4, like, official versions, but after this premise came out, so many movies have done the same story, roughly,
Right, yeah. It's a very familiar story, even though I haven't seen it. I'm well-versed in it, I guess you'd say. So, good ending to the list.
Well, all right. All right,
I'll launch right into mine, into one that, I mean, I don't know how much I can recommend it to kids because it fucking traumatized me when I was a child, but I've grown to love it more and more as I've gotten older. I mean, I still liked it when I saw it in the theater. But that would be 1985's Legend by director Ridley Scott, starring Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, and Tim Curry. I think on my list, no, I guess I have a bunch of things that are fantastic or semi-fantastic. But this is one of the only movies that I could say is a straight-up fantasy horror. I mean, you don't see a ton of that in the first place because we don't get a ton of fantasy. But, I was having a discussion with Jay the other day, and he was like, I finally watched the director's cut, and he's like, I didn't like it. And I was like, I agree. Like, the deleted scenes that they removed from the theatrical cut for the director's cut, I enjoy. I think they work better in the movie. But for some reason, that 1980s Tangerine Dream soundtrack worked better for me than the kind of orchestral one that they replaced it with. But the basic premise is that Tom Cruise plays a dude named Jack who is in love with the princess Lily. She's in love with him as well, and she sets him a task of performing a task for her to marry her. She throws a ring into the bottom of the pool and says she'll marry whoever retrieves it. He brings her and shows her, because he lives in the forest among the fairies and whatnot, a unicorn. And when she touches the unicorn, she makes it impure, so the bad guys who have been following them, the goblins working for Tim Curry's version of Darkness, who is the son of the devil, can kill the unicorn. The last 2 unicorns that exist, if they're destroyed, will destroy all light in the world, so it'll only be darkness, and he'll be able to hang out wherever instead of just in his little dungeon underneath the giant tree stump that he lives in. Overall, this is a very visual movie. It's not a great movie, but it's unique. I don't think there's anything that quite feels like it or even attempts to be like it. Tom Cruise is okay in it. Mia Sara is absolutely fucking gorgeous throughout the whole thing, especially once she gets into her dark, like, devil lady dress. And Tim Curry does an iconic fucking villain performance. The dude is only my height, and yet you look at the makeup they got him in, and he looks like he's playing somebody who's like 7.5 feet tall. His voice is awesome. It's got a bunch of really cool set pieces. The goblins were a little creepy as a kid, but the one that absolutely fucking freaks me out was like this witch hag living in the water who wants to eat Tom Cruise. Like, that scene fucking scares the shit out of me as a kid. I get through it fine now, so obviously I've been desensitized a little bit. I did see this opening night in the theater when my dad was in the Army. We saw it at Fort Hood. I'm pretty sure both of you guys have seen it, but what do you think?
I saw this as a kid. Yeah, the Tim Curry as the devil, whatever he is, that the Lord of Darkness was absolutely scary. It was almost like unbalanced of the fantasy aspect and how absolutely terrifying, and the feeling of just being in hell with a vague recollection of what like hell actually was, you know. So yeah, it's so good. I don't know if I've ever seen the director's cut. I think that's what I own. Is the regular version still available?
Yeah, like the one that I bought back in the day when I bought it, it had both versions on it. You know, it was one of the 2-disc ones back when they didn't have the Blu-ray or even just the larger sized DVDs that they used where they could put more than one movie on the side.
Oh, okay. So I probably do have both versions. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I was going to rewatch it. This was one of the ones that I was bouncing around to for this. So, yeah, great choice. Definitely loved it as a kid. This was actually a little bit slow for me as a kid, too. But then once Tim Curry was in it, and then I would rewatch it just to see, basically just to be scared. So,
I don't have anything to say. Only because I'm fairly positive I didn't watch this until sometime in my 20s, and I don't remember anything about it, and that may imply either my memory's awful, which we know it is, or I was drinking that night. I don't know. I don't have a recollection. Like there are like scenes that I've seen like in videos and stuff, and I may be getting that mixed in with. I don't know, so I can't offer anything other than I do own the movie, so I guess I need to just go and rewatch it.
I mean, I wouldn't say that that's a bad thing, rewatching it.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to.
Okay, I'm going to go on to my number 4 then, which you guys, I will say this, you guys graciously gave me this one. But I have Gremlins. In 1984 movie directed by Joe Dante that I liked, starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Cecily Axton, but I would say probably Dick Miller. Maver. Yeah, I mean, seriously, probably in it more than Hoyt. Anyways, I'm not going to go too in-depth into this because we just went over this a year ago, Kent? Was this one of our Christmas movies that we talked about?
At least twice. And I think we did, didn't we do a group blog on this, 5-6 years ago?
We might have. I mean, this is definitely one that's come up multiple times. If you follow me and Kent, you follow this movie. It's a good movie. It does not hold up as much as now as I liked it when I was a kid. So I have a feeling that means that it probably is a better movie for a child than it is for an adult. But the Mogwai are awesome. They're cute when they're the cute version. And they're funny and hostile, when they're the non-cute version. It's horror without necessarily being, over the top. But the comedy exists in just equal, if not higher proportion. So I do think that this is something that you could put on for your kids and not necessarily feel like you're traumatizing them with.
I definitely think this plays better for children than it does adults. Even though I love it as an adult, as a kid seeing it in the movie theater, I just harassed my parents for Gremlins merchandise. And yeah, I mean, it did its job, and I had such a good time. It was one of the few movies that I actually really wanted to go see the sequel in the theater, and I don't want to say I was disappointed, but it just wasn't nearly as good, of course. But it did have Hulk Hogan, so there is that. Good choice, though, obviously. We're a big fan.
I will say, I'll tell you guys later. That doesn't belong in this podcast.
Well, we're not doing the PG-13 one, if that's what you...
No. There's something I was going to bring up that probably, just not... We'll just ignore it for now. Kevin, what about you?
Oh, Gremlins is so good. I remember I put Gremlins 2 on the terrific 2s, which I know you guys were not, as you thought it should have been on the terrible 2s list, but yeah, it was such a... Yeah, this movie's great. I played this for my niece and nephew. Not too... I think she... Actually, my older niece was the only one who watched it all the way through. But, yeah, it works better also as a Halloween movie than a Christmas movie for kids, because there is that scene where they say that Santa Claus is not real, and that classic Phoebe Cates monologue, which is pretty dark. I love one of the things that she really liked and was grossed out about was the blender scene, and in that kitchen. And what I loved about that scene is that it still plays as a comedy and simultaneously as a horror. A lot of like the cutaway shots of the horror and like killing people, and not actually seeing them get stabbed, but effectively watching them die at the same time. This is a perfect choice, a must on this list.
All right, I'm going to keep moving on then, and I will move to my number 3, which is the 1990 version, the original movie version of Roald Dahl's story, The Witches, directed by Nicholas Roeg and starring Angelica Houston, May Zetterling, and Jason Fisher. Although, probably, if it was made now, the second name on the billboard would have been Rowan Atkinson, but I don't think he had come out with Mr. Bean at the time yet. This is another one of those ones where, for the most part, it's a child's story, written by the same guy who wrote James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But then you get some absolutely horrific fucking special effects with the makeup. The witches, when they take their faces off and look like how they're supposed to look, are absolutely horrifying for like a young kid. I remember my young cousin, when we were watching it when we were a kid, totally fucking couldn't watch the movie. She just fucking noped out at that point. It's, again, another horror comedy, although the comedy in this one is definitely much more British, which makes sense because of who it was written by and made by. But it's another one where the comedy and the horror are pretty close to being neck and neck without one overwhelming the other. Maybe slight edge to the comedy. It has, I think, a slightly happier ending than the modern remake that they did with Anne Hathaway. Although that wasn't bad, it just wasn't as good as the original. But yeah, because of that, this is the one that I would recommend over the remake. Have either of you guys seen it?
I saw this as a kid. This was one of the ones that I had floating around on my original list. Angelica Houston. I tried watching this again. It's on Criterion this month in a whole witches collection of movies with Suspiria and The Love Witch, all sorts of stuff. Rosemary's Baby is also on there, so it was quite a collection. And this movie I watched as a kid, and I remember my dad rented it for me because I saw the previews and I thought it looked so good, and the British humor was super dry, and it was really hard for me to finish the movie. I think my dad stopped. I don't know, he might have been busy doing something, just rented it for me to watch. But really not until the last 30 minutes of the movie did it get really awesome. But I did not get to finish it, so I'm not as well versed in it. But I remember not liking the beginning of it, but I do remember also liking it because the ending was so good, with all the like crazy, I guess body horror. Which
it is kind of body horror witches. That's, I don't know. Like, that usually doesn't what you think of with little kid movies.
No, I mean, there's always Who Framed Roger Rabbit, with the acid melting at the end. But, yeah, they had sort of that kind of effect where all of a sudden the movie which is weird and funny and like just gets really kind of like intense. So, and then I just think that also like the very, very end of the movie, I remember being kind of dry also. Don't they turn into mice or something? And I don't know.
Yeah. That's not at the end. It's towards the
middle of the movie, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, that's a great one for this.
I'm not sure if I've seen all of this because I don't recall like renting it. I think I've seen some parts of it like on TV perhaps, because the mice scene definitely is familiar to me, but as a whole I don't fully remember this, so I don't know. That's my best thought, is that I just kind of saw some of it on TV, so I can't add much to it. I would watch it though. I like Roald Dahl.
All right, moving on to my number 2, and this one I can guarantee would not be PG if it was made now, because as far as I know, they've changed the rating on it so it isn't PG anymore. But Poltergeist from 1982 by Tobe Hooper, or Tobe Hooper, depending upon how you pronounce it. Written by Steven Spielberg, Michael Grice, Mark Victor, and starring JoBeth Williams, Heather O'Rourke, and Craig T. Nelson. I am pretty sure they have reclassified this as PG-13 on its re-release, correct?
No, I think that one's still PG, but I think the sequels are PG-13, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, this is... I forgot what... I just rewatched this recently. I don't remember what it was for, if it was for one of our podcasts or just because I wanted to rewatch it. But it's such a good movie. The characters are well written. The special effects, which I'm pretty sure are almost entirely practical for most of the entire movie, with just some of like the light show stuff being generated. It holds up. It still holds up, and I like this much better than the remake that they did, even though I love Sam Rockwell. This is actually probably my favorite Tobe Hooper movie, too. Some people might consider that blasphemy, but I really enjoy this one. I know you guys have both seen this, so what are your thoughts?
Oh, this was Oh, you want to go ahead?
Nah.
All right, so I'll be quick. This is a great movie. I rewatched this probably like 5 years ago, and I watched it in a completely different perspective. I thought that like the parents were on like crystal meth and because they didn't sleep any of the time, but like they were doing it off camera. And then I remember the mom like smoking a joint. And I know this does not sound like a child appropriate movie, because as watching it through the lens of an adult, it does feel like it would be PG-13. But through the lens of a kid, I would have not noticed any of that stuff. The skeletons in the backyard, that scene always that freaked me out when I saw the movie. But the cover of the film and the girl with the static and the TV, that was one of the scariest things that I can remember as a kid. So it was surprising that it was PG when I was older. And I don't know, I felt like I was always a little bit like better than a lot of those movies. Why this whole these lists have been a little bit difficult for me. So, but yeah, Poltergeist is a classic, and oddly enough, as the older I get, I appreciate it more and more. And it's a scary movie still.
Let me ask you guys this: the Tangina, Zelda Rubinstein's character. Isn't she like one of the best versions of being like kind of like the archetype for that character too? I mean, I feel like she kind of originated that whole archetype within the ghost haunted scary movie, and she's fucking awesome in it.
Yeah. I mean, no one else could probably play that role with having the impact. She's the...
the psychic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, she was so good at it that when they remade it, they couldn't even keep that role. They completely redid that role. So, yeah, kind of a tough follow-up. I do have to correct Chris on one thing. I mean, it may say that Tobe Hooper directed it, but if you read anything about it, everybody basically says that Steven Spielberg directed it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the weeds on our PG.
According to the Directors Guild of America, Tobe Hooper directed it, God damn it. And that, and they're paying their insurance.
Yeah. There's so many iconic scenes, and actually, this was the one I kind of wanted to fight to have on my list, but then I was like, fuck it, we'll still talk about it. So then I shut up. I've watched both of these within the past, 3 years, both this and... Well, actually, I watched every single one. I watched all the 2 sequels and the remake, and those sequels are really bad. And
I remember liking Poltergeist 2 as a kid when I would see it, but I haven't seen it probably since I was about 6 or 7. So
a lot of people have really fond memories of the creepy old guy, and I don't have that memory as a kid, so I can only speak as an adult, and I can understand why that guy would be creepy, but that storyline was fucking terrible. So, anyway, I think when my younger self, the 2 scenes that actually, well, God, there were so many scenes, like Craig T. Nelson peeling his face off, and just the chairs moving in the kitchen kind of creeped me out as a kid. So there was a lot of cool stuff in this, and yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a PG movie by today's standards, and that's all right with me.
I just want to reiterate, I was scared of the cover at the video store. After you saw the part of the movie, I think I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw the static, and then, in real life, we probably had static on the TV, that was, witching hours. I don't know. Something about that. I had, some sort of experience late at night, and that movie stuck with me.
That scene is so iconic, too, man, that they used it in so many other forms of media, commercials, other movies, parodies, that kind of stuff. To the point where even if you had never seen the movie as a kid, if you were growing up in the 80s, you at least knew what that scene was from because it was repeated so often.
You knew it was Poltergeist without even watching Poltergeist. Yeah.
They're here.
Freddy and Jason.
I think that one of the fucking dudes in Nightbreed did that.
Yeah.
I do have one small grudge, and I hate the fact that I think it was just last year, maybe, or probably 2 years ago, would make more sense based on it being the 40th anniversary. They updated the cover for I don't know, I can't say movie poster, of course, but when you go on Vudu, the cover is no longer, the girl with the TV. It's just some stupid bullshit looking thing that doesn't tell you anything about the movie. It doesn't give you any feeling of dread or creepiness. It's just shit. So whoever decided, hey, we need to change this, and they should be fired, okay, and possibly deported. I don't know. I'm just saying, they did a really bad job on updating the cover to this movie. Why do that? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go search. I don't know. You can probably just Google Poltergeist, and it may just come up. It's I think it's Craig T. Nelson on the cover, even though you can't tell it's him, and there's a shining light. it looks stupid. So, yeah, I had to vent my anger. Stop updating covers of movies that are iconic, that tell us what the movie is. Please just stop changing these things.
Agree, especially the original, the black and white one, which I pulled up. I don't see the Craig T. Nelson one, but
if you go to Vudu and just search Poltergeist, that'll show you the one I'm talking about. So, all right, was that your number 2 or 1, Chris?
All right,
okay,
that was my number 2. I was waiting. All right, my number 1. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's a 2009 animated movie. Directed by Henry Selick, written by Henry Selick and Neil Gaiman. Coraline, starring Dakota Fanning, Terry Hatcher, and John Hodgman. So a lot of the movies that I threw in my 2 lists, the reason why I chose them was because of the ambiance, or the tone, the mood that they were able to set. And this is one of those movies that really nails the tone and the atmosphere. You know, you can feel it. It's the same kind of childish but dark, where you know, like when you were going into the woods as a kid, and you know, it's fun to play hide and seek, and then it starts to get dark. And all of a sudden, you know, all of those noises that you're hearing that were not scary, you know, 20 minutes ago are now kind of creeping you out and making you feel uncomfortable. So Coraline moves into a new house with her family. It's in a new town. She's unhappy. She's not by any of her friends, and she begins to explore. And she finds this door that, when she goes through it, leads her to an alternate version of her house, where her mother and her father are there, and they're the idolized versions that give her everything that she wants, all of the attention, all of the choices for food and whatnot that she's looking forward to, but their eyes are made out of buttons instead. And then as it continues to go along and you find out what's actually going on, it gets really fucking creepy, especially towards the end. And they did a really good job of translating that animated. Probably, I think, better than what it would have happened if they had tried to do a live action version of this. But yeah, for that tone and the ambiance, this is definitely my number 1. Plus, it's just a really good animated movie. Have either of you guys seen this?
I have not. And so I'll go really quickly. This did pop up on my, or while I was doing my research for, PG horror films. This came up a lot. And along with Paranorman, shout out. I haven't seen that either. But those are, the ones that popped up a lot, for family-friendly horror. And, yeah, I haven't seen this. I didn't, but it sounds good. And it was intriguing, but before I heard you talk about it, but the buttons on the eyes, it sounds pretty good, and I should definitely check it out sometime. It moved up higher on the list, Chris.
Well, good. I think it's worth watching at least once.
I've never seen it, although I'm pretty sure I have it digitally. But I would say less than 2 weeks ago, as I've been still binge watching Simpsons, one of the Treehouse of Horror did a Coraline parody, and it was so well done that it made me want to go watch the movie, and then of course I fell asleep. But I mean, it just intrigued me enough, and The Simpsons actually did a really good parody of it, because some of their parodies are very hit or miss. But the parody was good enough that it convinced me that I needed to see this movie, so I will be watching it probably before this month ends. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, actually.
And the only other thing to add in this that I didn't know before is Keith David is one of the voices.
Keith David, of course.
If you weren't going to watch it before, Kent, now, it's a necessity.
Super necessary.
All right, what about your list, Kent?
So, I will say this about my list. Obviously I had a bunch of options, but the list I'm going to present versus the list that I struggled because I'll use an example. The Amicus movies, the ones that are anthologies like Tales from the Crypt, The House That Dripped Blood, Torture Garden, all that shit with Peter Cushing, like, they're all PG, but I feel like if you tried showing that shit to a kid, the kid would just get beyond bored. So I didn't feel comfortable including that on my list. And we talked about, I can't remember which movie it was that we were talking about that felt kind of inappropriate, but there's a movie called Legend of Hell House that has a lot of sexual stuff and Roddy McDowall, and somehow that's rated PG. It's a awesome movie, but under no circumstances would I feel comfortable having it as a list I would recommend parents to show their kids. And I also would say same thing for Casper, because Casper is a movie about Richie Rich's ghost, and I don't know, that doesn't sit well with me. So, here are my five.
I love it. Yeah. It's, I believe this probably would not be on your list, so I don't feel bad saying it. But I kind of feel the same thing about Swamp Thing.
Yeah, no, that seems fair. All right, this is probably the one movie that I don't know very well, and I didn't go and rewatch it just because I added it during this conversation. But as a kid, I watched it and I liked it, and that would be Teen Wolf, because Teen Wolf had Michael J. Fox, and it was basically an American Werewolf in London, only Americanized and funny, and there was a basketball scene. So, I don't know, as a kid, I absolutely loved Teen Wolf and Teen Wolf 2. It's a movie that you can, I still think, like, a younger kid would like. I don't know up to what age by any means, probably maybe like upwards to like 10 or so. Beyond that, they may not find it as funny or charming, I think, but I think a younger kid, especially that doesn't do horror, this would honestly be an okay starter, I would think. Looking at the cast, it doesn't really do much else other than Michael J. Fox, but that's okay. I don't know. I wish I had gone and rewatched this again, but that's okay. I didn't. I do have fond memories. I'm guessing both of you've seen Teen Wolf. Do you have fond memories of this cheesy ass movie?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, okay. I do have fond memories of this movie as a kid, but I did rewatch it recently, and there was like a lot of like pot references, and I think like lots of sexual like innuendo, like a lot with like the friend,
the blonde.
Was he blonde or was he had like black hair? He's like the guy. I think he was like selling.
Oh, his friend. Okay.
But I saw it on TV, and I saw it on TV too. So, it was edited for television, and it still felt like. But as a kid, you're just watching Michael J. Fox and playing basketball as Teen Wolf, and it is fucking amazing. So, yeah, this is a good one, and I thought of it too, and I even enjoy Teen Wolf 2. I have not seen that since I was a kid. I have not rewatched that one, but yeah, thumbs up, Teen Wolf.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have fond memories of both of them too, but I do kind of remember the like like Kevin was just alluding to, isn't there like a relatively lot of sex in these two movies?
A lot of talking about it.
Yeah, if I'm trying to remember, it's like I do remember too. I rewatched Once Bitten, and there was another like teenage vampire movie too, and there was a lot of sex in both of those too. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Kent, it's funny. You're mostly watching. It's goofy, funny. You're mostly watching it for Michael J. Fox and playing basketball. It's funny. He was so charismatic that, like, even relatively shitty movies that he was in were still good because he was in them.
Yeah, he really was like a fucking powerhouse to himself in his own weird way. So, yeah. Fond memories, good times. My number 4 probably is not child appropriate, but it's PG. It's one of my favorite movies, and it was featured in the forgotten episode of this podcast that never made it on the internet. And I, of course, am referring to Blackula. It's I don't know if they had to rate this movie. I'm guessing it would be a PG-13, but maybe not. I'm pretty sure it'd be PG-13. I don't think a kid would get scared by this. I'm not even sure how much a kid would like it. I'm really torn on this. There's a lot of cool scenes though that I think if a kid, could give it a few minutes, I think there's enough stuff there that a kid could enjoy some of the silly makeup effects and some of the imagery. They may not follow the story all that much, but I don't know. As a kid, it was more about the scenes and the visuals than it was about the storyline, at least for me. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Someday we will discuss it more in depth on the podcast. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's an omen that we should never discuss it again. I don't know. But yes, it is one of my favorite movies, and I know both of you guys watched it because of my dumbass, or at least rewatched it because of my dumbass. So, Chris, would you feel that this is probably PG-13? Like if they re-rated it?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, it's not super violent, but there's enough violence, enough like sexual innuendo, I guess that you would say, that I don't think this would be straight PG. But yeah, this was a good movie. I was honestly surprised at how good it was when I watched it, when you had us watch it. Yeah, no, for sure it would be PG-13. Just for the violence, if nothing else.
Yeah, makes sense. Kevin?
I was really surprised that it was PG, because it definitely, when I watched it, I wasn't like, oh, I can't believe this is a PG movie. I don't believe that wasn't quite aware of that. And I do know that like PG movies back then were, almost rated R. In a lot of ways, as long as you didn't drop the F-bomb or whatever. Yeah, there was a lot of sexuality in it. Not sex. And this was like probably over a year ago when we watched it. Definitely over a year. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this also. This was a great kooky kind of movie, but also like a really well, I think it's a great vampire movie with its own, flavor to it.
It is definitely a blaxploitation movie, and yet it's one of the best ones made. Like, it's weird. It's kind of, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but most of those movies weren't great, but this one really actually held up quite well. So, all right, Number 3 may be a weird choice, and that's okay. Twilight Zone, the movie. Joe Dante, John Landis, George Miller, the directors. So, wow, Joe Dante's getting a lot of rub tonight, which is fine. I feel that it's an anthology. There are some stories that, as a kid, I would have wanted to go hide in a cupboard and eat animal crackers rather than watch it. But the good stuff is really good, and as a kid, I will say the opening scene with Dan Aykroyd, it is like permanently ingrained in my head. And the thing that freaked me out the most was the Bill, not Bill Muni, he was in it, but he was the original kid, where the kid could fucking wish things, and his sister has no mouth. As a kid, seeing that girl with no mouth was absolutely fucking freaky to me. So I have fond memories of that, and even the John Lithgow being in the airplane, the original William Shatner story. I feel that you could very easily, as a kid, I wouldn't even show the old people one, and I don't know if I would show the first one about with all the hatred and the war and the Nazis and the very real life actual death of people. Like, you could probably skip like half this movie if you're showing it to a kid. I think you just stick to the wraparound story. You do the I keep on saying it's a Wonderful Life, but it's not called that. Whatever it is. Yeah,
it's a good life.
It's a good life. Yeah, stick to the wraparound. It's a good life, and I don't know if it's called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet or whatever. Just stick to those. That's what I would say. Although, if you want to show your kid who Stephen Williams is, you can watch the first story, because Stephen Williams is awesome, even though he was in Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell. And I know damn well Chris and we've talked about this. I don't know if I've talked to you about it, Kevin. Do you have any memories of the girl with no mouth or the Dan Aykroyd opening?
Oh, the Dan Aykroyd opening, for sure. That was... I can't believe that I forgot about that. But yeah, that was the scariest thing in the entire movie for me, and I forgot about the old people doing the kick the can thing, right?
Yeah, kick the can.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of the original. I loved the Twilight Zone as a kid, and not all of them were kind of like, I like the more horror story-esque ones, but they weren't all horror. So I don't know. I think that it would be a good, it's like a good balance. But I also grew up with amazing stories, and loved that too. And this has that kind of vibe to it. I mean, it does have some of the same people who made this movie, right? Steven Spielberg was in this also. Yeah, so it has that feel to it. Yeah, there was. Yeah, and I think I like the John Lithgow one better than the William Shatner one, or at least I did as a kid, which would make sense. Yeah, this was so good. I vaguely remember the girl with the mouth. I remember the original black and white story better. Which that obviously wasn't in it. But yeah, this is a great one, and also it was on the list of things, but I haven't seen it since I watched the Curse film thing about it and the very real life deaths that Kent mentioned. So I don't know what it would be like to watch the movie with that lens of it.
It's weird. It's weird watching the Vic Morrow stuff now in the helicopter. Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, it was weird then without knowing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's how
Was it the beginning wraparound with Dan Aykroyd, or is it the end wraparound where they did the scary thing?
The beginning. The end one is they're loading John Lithgow in the ambulance, and we get to hear "Midnight Hour" by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Okay, so yeah, I love this movie. I did not realize it was PG, which is probably why I didn't fight you on it. I do remember the no mouth. I remember the big eye in the doorway. I would agree with Kevin in that I think the remake of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet is probably better, but that's also because, you know, they had the framework for the original Shatner episode to go by. I don't think Kick the Can was necessarily a bad section, but I will be honest, I don't remember the first section now looking at the synopsis of it, and, you know, which is surprising because I vaguely remember, like, the helicopter crash, but I don't remember, like, the whole rest of that section. But yeah, this was a great movie. I used to watch it all the time when it was on HBO when I was a kid. Yeah, definitely another one that scared me as a kid, but at the same time, I enjoyed watching it because it was like one of those good scares. Do you know what I mean? Rather than one of the ones that, like, traumatized you scared, like the first time I watched The Exorcist.
Yeah, the way that segment is edited, because they had to. I think Vic Morrow ends up, like, on a Nazi train or something at the end. Like, they had to really, like, edit the shit out of that ending of that first story. And as a kid, not knowing it, I was just like, oh, that's bizarre. As an adult, knowing the story, it's like, oh, that's just fucking dark. So, yeah. My number 2 is very near and dear to me, and yet we've talked about it quite a bit on the podcast, so I'm not going to dwell too long on it. But much like Joe Dante, another name that keeps popping up is Steven Spielberg, and of course I'm talking about Jaws. This was one of my first, like, 3 or 4 horror movies that I ever saw, and it's still awesome, still holds up today. I recently got the 4K disc. I haven't watched it yet. I'm curious to see how it looks, because sometimes 4K, I don't really notice a difference, and sometimes it, like, looks utterly beautiful, and then sometimes weird shit like Friday the 13th, the first one, looks amazing for some reason. So, like, you never know what you're going to get nowadays with these updated, 4K stuff. As a kid, all I gave a fuck about was seeing the shark. I did not care about anything else. I think I probably found Quint a little bit creepy at the very least as a kid. And yeah, this movie, I kept, like, bothering my mom. Like, I wanted to rent the rest of the Jaws movies. And so we did rent them all, and each time I was so disappointed that as a kid I didn't want to, like, watch horror sequels for a couple of years, because I was just like, are they all going to be just as bad as Jaws was? And the answer to that is kinda, but not always. But with that being said, Chris, obviously we've talked about this a lot. I don't know what more there is to say about it, but whatever you got, go for it.
I mean, just the fact that I forced my wife to buy a copy of this for me so I could watch it for our blog back in, like, shit. When did we start doing that?
Oh, God, probably like 7-8 years ago, maybe?
Oh, it was longer than that, because we started doing the podcast in 2017.
Oh,
and I think we did the blog for a couple of years before that. So, yeah, I think that was the second or third blog that you did. The first was The Shining, and then, well, the horror blog that you invited everybody to participate in. So, yeah, this is a great movie. It holds up. I rewatched Jaws 2 recently, and it is not as great a movie, but it's not a horrible movie. I watched a ton of Jaws 3 when I was a kid, because that was the one it released right as I was getting old enough to, like, watch stuff on HBO. And it used to scare the crap out of me. Jaws the Revenge, I watched when it came out. It was okay. I do remember, though, that I used to be scared deathly afraid of sharks. There was a thing that played on HBO one morning when I was a kid. I don't know what it was, but I caught it with my brother. and it was just a bunch of vignettes about people like diving into swimming pools that had sharks in them, and the sharks ate them before they got out. And I was afraid to go in my grandparents' swimming pool for the rest of that summer. So there you go.
Thank you, HBO. Yeah, Jaws. What a great movie. I don't really have much else to add. It is a movie that I do not think of for Halloween horror, but it is such a great horror film. I get, and same thing for like Piranha also, but those are great summertime horror films. I've not watched Jaws 2 or 3. Is there 4 of them?
Yes.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. The 4th one is absolutely terrible. The other 2 are just okay.
I heard that like Jaws 2 is like a better horror film, and like Jaws is just a great film.
Jaws is just classic cinema. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Psycho, you know, like it's not something typically I would watch for like Halloween horror, but it's just a great movie and, you know, has its place.
It kind of transcends its own genre in some ways.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. You good? Okay.
Yes. Great pick.
Thank you. My last pick is kind of a 4-piece McNugget conversation here. And I'm going with Scooby-Doo, but I want to be specific on which one. First and foremost, I am not referring to the dreadful 2020 Scoob movie, which I had high hopes for and I'd heard was good. And it has a 5.6 on IMDb, and it is baffling how it got such a high rating. And yet, I think that's only speaking as an adult. I imagine as a kid, Scoob is probably pretty good. So, for the all intents and purposes of this podcast, I would say go ahead, show your kid Scoob. Maybe. Or just sit them in front of the TV and just show them all the classic, shit, because all that stuff's on Max. But I didn't find it nearly that good, even though it had fucking Blue Falcon. It had a great cast. But what it didn't have, what's his face? Matthew Lillard. They replaced Matthew Lillard's voice with Will Forte, who I do like, but he was not right for the role. The voices just... It was a great cast of voice actors, but it missed the mark entirely for me. So, parents, go ahead, show your kids Scoob, but adults, you may not want to watch it. Then, of course, there was the amazing live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and they're both really good, and both have a 5.3 on IMDb. Really wish they would have done more of them, because both of them are great in their own right. Each one does certain things better than the other. By part 2, they did much better on the CGI and visually more appealing. I think the acting's a little bit better in the first one. Aside from Matthew Lillard, it's crazy how good Linda I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Cardellini. She is Velma. Like, I know Matthew Lillard gets all the credit, and he deserves all the credit, but she also deserves, like, insane amount of credit for just being Velma. Freddie Prinze Jr., well, he did what Freddie Prinze Jr. does, which was fine, and Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne, it worked, but in the sequel, like, they made her, like, into, like, this fucking martial artist that could fight, and it wasn't the Daphne that we knew from the cartoons, and yet it was still a good time. With that being said, neither of those are my pick. My pick here is actually rated G, not even PG, but G, and it's called Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It's one of, if not the first, movie that they did, animated film that they did for Scooby-Doo back in 1998. It was just, we've had a ton of different Scooby-Doo movies since then, but I'm not sure if this was the first, but it's one of the first, if nothing else. You combine, I want to say New Orleans, at least Louisiana. You get Louisiana, you get, you get zombies, you get a cat god deity, you get cat people, you get so many cool things. You get awesome music. The writing is actually on point. The voice acting's really good. They had Billy West do Shaggy's voice, and Mary Kay Bergman do Daphne's voice. And Mary Kay, she was like the original all-female voice of South Park for the first however many years. It has Adrienne Barbeau, Tara Strong, and Mark Hamill all in smaller bit roles. And it's just an absolute blast. And I know a lot of people probably haven't seen this. It is on Max. I highly, highly recommend it to adults and kids alike. It's just such a wonderfully good time. I don't know. I feel good in saying this was my number one because it fits all the criteria for what I was looking for in this podcast. With that being said, Kevin, have you ever even heard of this or seen it?
So let's start with Scoop. I forgot they even made that. I have not seen it. It looked pretty bad. The Scooby-Doo PG live action with Freddie Prinze Jr. and company was pretty good. I remember Freddie Prinze Jr., you're disappointed that he was Fred, but then when you see it, and it's better than you expected it to be, and he's fine. He's totally fine in it, so it's not even bad. And he's almost kind of perfect, even though it was kind of offsetting. Not that I don't even understand why I even really cared about the casting of that movie when it came out. Like, it was still important to me. But the sequel, I remember not liking. I worked at the video store, so this played a lot. The first one, especially. And then Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island was very good. I remember seeing it on TV as a kid on the Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
I believe. I don't know. Was it Cartoon
I don't know,
Network
but that's the
original?
first time I saw it was on Cartoon Network.
So it probably was like a straight to video.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
I think
had a
straight to
theatrical
video
release, but I watched it on TV a bunch of times and it was good. And we did have it at the video store, and that was kind of also a go-to movie to play. You play a zombie movie at the video store at Video World back in the day. So, yeah. I should probably rewatch it again. And I might do that because, that sounds like a good time. And I do like watching cartoon Halloween movies every once in a while on Halloween time because it reminds me of being a kid.
Yeah. Chris?
I've never seen it. I was never a big Scooby-Doo fan. Like, if I was going to watch a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, it was going to be, He-Man. Then later on, like Thundercats, Silverhawks,
Not
Tiger
Laugh
Sharks.
Olympics?
Not Laugh Olympics.
Damn it.
Not Laugh Olympics, no. But I never saw Scoob. I never saw Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I've heard good things. I have heard good things about it. Like, other people who I follow have reviewed it and said it's good. They brought up the whole werecat, ghost, zombies thing. So it's not something that I'd be averse to seeing. I did watch both of the live actions. I liked both of them. In fact, I loved, like you said, Linda Cardellini as Velma was not only or Velma, but she was fucking hot Velma, which was something I never thought about before then, but I will say I have thought about a lot since then. The only thing I didn't like, I loved Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. I hated his fucking hair. Like, the hair didn't... It just looked like fucking scraggly, greasy hair. Outside of that, though, he was perfect for the role. So I don't have much to add there, but maybe I'll watch it someday.
I will also add, if somebody watches this on Max and likes it, check out Scooby-Doo in the Cyber Chase. That's also a really good, like, another same era direct-to-video type thing, and that's really good. Also, Max has the short-lived TV series A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and aside from maybe like the Scooby-Doo that had like all the celebrities like Batman on it, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo is without a doubt the funniest Scooby-Doo series. It is utterly ridiculous, batshit, crazy, funny stuff to me. So, if your kids like Scooby-Doo and maybe you've never heard of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, put that shit on. Let those kids appreciate all the good things and Red Herring. And that's what I have. So...
All right, I think that'll wrap this one up then. Please come back for our episode 71 where we go into PG-13 movies. Thanks, everybody.